it's very normal. Being from Manchester that week. Okay, guys, time out. So we have a number of lightning talks that we'd like to run each session, and it's just an opportunity for individuals to come up, deliver a very short. It doesn't have to be very long. It can be 5 minutes, it can be 10 minutes, it can be 1 minute. Doesn't really matter. And it's just someone to share a little nugget of information or concepts, and we welcome it in for anybody who's interested. You don't have to be an expert in anything. You could be here to ask questions of the audience and get some answers maybe. Talking about safety, how daunting might that be? But ultimately it's about sharing. Okay? So first tonight we've got Kevin Rutherford, and he's going to... Over to you, Kevin.
Hi, yeah, that's me. I've no idea how long this is going to take. I wrote this afternoon. It could be a minute, it could be 20 minutes. We'll find out. So, my wife and I at the moment are wanting to sell our house. The 2 oldest kids have left. We've got 1 left, so there's only 3 of us. We've got a 6-bedroom house, so we're kind of knocking around inside it. So we want to move on. But it's a bit of a tip. So we got a house doctor to come and have a look at it and tell us what needed to be changed in order to get the best price for it and get a quick sale. So she came in, she did her thing for about 3 hours, going around with a clipboard and making notes. And then a few days later, she came back with a 10 or 20 page report with loads and loads of things that we needed to do. That bedroom needs to be over here, the office needs to be in that corner, not this corner. When you come upstairs, you need to be able to see these kind of things. And, those cushions should match those ones, and you need plants in that corner, and amazing amounts of stuff. This was in November. We're still working our way through all the stuff she said. But there was so much stuff, and it involved me doing some stuff like this weekend last weekend I was filling in our pond in case somebody with small kids wants to buy the place and we don't want to drown them. There's stuff for my wife to do, there's stuff for our local handyman to do, and so on and so on. So there's all sorts of stuff going on. So what we did, I found an old whiteboard in the garage. I don't know if you can see this very clearly. We drew a plan of the house. So downstairs here, upstairs here, and we put stickies on it for each of the things she'd recommended that we have to do. And we put the sticky in the place where the thing had to be done. You can see a bit more detail here. This is the downstairs. So the blue ones are the things she recommended. The yellow ones are things we'd always wanted to do, and now's a great opportunity. So there's a whole bunch of things in the lounge. There's nothing to do in the utility room. So upstairs, we've already finished everything in the office because priorities, right? We've still got to get a new carpet for the stairs and landing. We need art on this wall. We need, there's all this stuff to do. And if you can't see that clearly, this is a kind of schematic of what it looks like. And so every day we try to spend an hour each a day picking off something. I'll look on the internet for some curtains or whatever. So today, what I did was we had a skip come, and I got rid of the pond lining and a whole bunch of stuff out the attic. And then I went on the internet and looked for a chest of drawers to sit here for this ticket. So each day we're trying to do things, and as we do them, we just peel off the blue sticky, throw it in the bin, and gradually we're working our way through. There's about half as many now as there were at the beginning. What we didn't do was that, because it wouldn't have made any sense. We'd have had to write a lot more on each sticky. We'd have had to, on the things in here, each one would have had to say which room it was for and whereabouts in the room and what needed to be done. Whereas by doing that sort of thing, we saved ourselves a lot of effort, and it's more engaging for everybody. So I just want to kind of talk through how this works for software. So imagine you're just picking up a feature as a team. Thank you. You draw an architecture diagram. This is the software we're working on in some form, and you do your usual breaking the feature down into tasks. And you put the tasks on the diagram where they live. These are actually the breakdown of this talk. So I'm going to go through these, and I'm going to work on this one first. And the thing about the architecture diagram is it can be different for each story you do. It doesn't always have to be the same diagram, because you're not always doing the same kind of thing. It's the best diagram for this feature you're working on. So you're working on something that requires you to have a particular point of view of the application you're building, so you draw your diagram from that point of view. Next story, you might be working on it from a different point of view, so you perhaps draw a different architecture diagram. So they don't have to be always the same. Right, I've done that one. I'm going to move on to that one. The thing about making it visual like this is, if you start with a visual representation of what you're building, everyone at the Three Amigos meeting, or the task breakdown meeting, or the story launch, or whatever, everyone can be a lot more engaged, because it's easier to see what goes where and what's missing. It's easier to follow flows of behavior through the code. So it's easier for the whole team to feel part of the process of taking a story, breaking it down into tasks, and figuring out the complete set of things that need to be done to do it. So it creates inclusiveness. That's that done. During the doing of the story, it creates shared understanding. Even non-developers can come up and see how you're getting on, and also see the impact of what you're doing. You know, sometimes we get a product owner or a business person walk up to the board and say, "Oh, for this story, I had no idea you'd be changing this." And that's really useful. There's lots of information to be had from those conversations. There's lots of benefit from displaying the work in a way that is more tangible, more tactile, rather than just cards in columns. We're actually contextualizing the work so that people can understand it in terms of something they understand. It's not just cards going through prison bars on a wall. Done. It's very dynamic. So whilst you're in the doing, whilst your team is implementing the feature, you might discover one or two more things that you need to do that you couldn't have envisaged at the beginning. That's fine. This approach allows you to learn and makes that easier to express. You might find the one that you don't need to do anymore. That's cool as well. So it can be quite a dynamic and engaging process for everyone. Done. So when you're done, when the task is done, you've got two options. You can do what we're doing with our house board, which is just pull off the sticky and put it in the recycling, which works for us because there were 100 of them and it was quite a crowded board. So now we're starting to see the wood for the trees. Or you can do what I'm doing here and put a big green tick. And that, of course, allows everyone to see what progress is. How far through are we? Which bits currently work in the new way as opposed to the old way? So again, a visual representation of the progress we've made rather than just cards in columns. Done. And that creates opportunities sometimes. So quite a few times I've had cases where you get to kind of this point in developing a feature and somebody says, hang on a minute, we've done all these bits at the back end, we could release those. Or we've done these two bits, so if we did this one next, we could release these parts. That engagement, that shared understanding creates opportunities for people to say, actually, we could have picked a smaller story than the one we did pick. And if we slightly change what we're doing, we can create an opportunity to release something early and get some feedback. It's very difficult to get that kind of insight from cards going through prison bars on a wall. Done. So stand-ups become quite interesting. Rather than stand-ups being everybody standing around saying, this is what I did yesterday and this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. It's all about this. It's all about the diagram. It's all about, it's an engaging thing. It creates an opportunity for a team to self-organise around this. It's obvious what has to happen next. Stand-ups are not just a rote answering the three questions. Stand-ups are much more about do we agree what to do next, what's still left to do. And also I find that teams using this approach have a lot more stand-ups. They're not just boring ceremonies that you have to do at 10 o'clock in the morning. Teams using this approach will have 4 or 5 stand-ups a day. When something really interesting happens, hey everyone gather around, I've just finished this, what does that mean? Or I've just realised that this one we don't need to do anymore. So let's tear it up and let's rethink. 4 or 5 stand-ups a day, it's much more of a team, it's much more dynamic, organic. It's not so much of a managed process. It's much more a group of people collaborating to get something done. And that's because the picture brings everyone in. Nearly done. And that's obvious, right? So this works best with single piece flow. This works best if you're a team that picks up a single feature, develops it, ships it, and then moves on to the next thing. If you're not doing that, I've seen it work with 2 going on at the same time, but it's definitely better with 1. And that creates a sense of flow, a sense of purpose, a sense of delivery, focuses everyone on doing the next most important thing. The ideal story size then is something that keeps the team occupied for a day or 2. We'll draw a picture, we'll break it down, we'll do all the bits, then we'll ship it, and then we'll do another one. And last time I was here, I talked about a thing called the 5-day challenge, which is a way of getting teams to learn how to size stories better, estimate better. And the idea is you never ask developers how long something will take. Ask them how much of this can you do in 5 days. Different way of thinking about it. Works very well with this. How much of this feature can we do in 5 days and ship to a real user? this kind of approach makes answering that sort of question really easy, and that then allows the team to start to learn how to size work and shove it through the pipes more quickly. So they're all ticked. I've delivered my feature. Done. So you want this?